By all means, keep your questions going. If you need to raise your hand or need to make a comment, that's entirely fine. We will address everything that we possibly can and make sure that we have time at the end of the presentation for questions, and we'll keep this under an hour so that, again, respecting everybody's time. So I introduced both Lisa and Grace, and I'm Jeff Moen, who I'm sure that you know. I'm the Fila guy. I've been here for 10 years now. And Marco Gagliozzi and Mario Parra are two of my colleagues on the sales side. And so we do a lot of these seminars, and hopefully you'll find this really useful. It's basically information that comes from real life issues, problems, your questions. And so this is something that is very real life. All of us here at Fila actually go out and problem solve and have been in the midst of all these issues. I will tell you this, that on a daily basis, we receive issues, problems, and there's always something almost every week that I've never heard of. So you can tell from the white beard on my face that I've been doing this for more than a few minutes, but that doesn't really mean anything. So you have to have the humility to know that there are new things that are coming on board. There are new products on both the porcelain and the stone side. There are new grouts, there are new sealers. There's a lot of innovation in this field. And so if you've been doing it for the past 30 years a certain way, I guarantee something happened in the past 2 years that you better know about. So that's kind of the spirit that we have. Humility is really the word. There's going to be things that we're learning every week. So let's get started. How to do it and why it's important. Just a quick word about Fila. Fila's been around since World War II, so we're in our 80th year. We started out with shoe polish, and we were providing shoe polish for the Italian Army back in World War II. So that's what we go back to. It is a family-owned company, third generation. So you see Mr. Pettinone is the second generation. Francesco and his sister Alessandra are the third generation, bringing it forward. This is significant because most of our competitors and most of the people in the market are part of large companies, conglomerates, etc. Fila this is all we do. A couple of interesting things about Fila. That Fila started out as a fairly small force in Castelfranco Veneto and has become an international company. So we are truly international and have subsidiaries throughout the world. So but this is our headquarters, and this is where we do things. So next slide. So Fila today, we're really known for a couple things. First of all, safety is important. These are products that are safe for the people that use them, the applicators. It's safe for the surfaces. It's safe for the environment. So safety is very important. Eco-friendly is very important. We have the majority of our products are water-based. And I think the third thing is something that's really a hallmark of Fila is that the Fila products actually work. So in the cleaning space, you have people using all kinds of crazy things, and a lot of them do not work. And there are people that use the wrong chemicals for the wrong things or for stain resolution. And Fila is products are very effective. So this is important to know. All right, so here where we're located across the world, 90 countries worldwide, 7 business locations. At Fila USA, we go from North America all the way down to South America. So we're actually, our Miami hub is a central location, if you can believe that. All right. We also have chosen from the very start to align ourselves with the best manufacturers in the business, and some of our best manufacturers are people that are on this call, and we thank you for your recommendation of Fila. And we also have distributors that distribute these quality products, and so that's a major part of Fila's strategy. We've always aligned ourselves with really high quality manufacturers, because when a manufacturer has a problem or they need a treatment, they go to Fila because we'll test things for them. We have a laboratory, and that's why we have Elisa on this call. She's part of our special lab, and she's actually joined the call from our laboratory. So this is an important part of who we are and what we do. The R&D, the interesting thing about Fila is every year you're going to see some kind of innovation from Fila, and this is unusual in our space. Our competitors tend to have the same products that they've been using for 30 years, it seems like. But Fila is developing new strategies and new products every single year. We present them at Chairside. We show people at coverings. And our product line has been very condensed for the United States. So the message is here, if you have something going on, you can talk to us about it, and we may have a solution that nobody even knows about. And we do not necessarily sell in the United States, but we have this going on constantly. So it's a research partner that you can trust.
Jeff, you are mute. No.
Can you hear this?
Yeah, there's an echo.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Very good.
Yes. Okay, I'll continue. This is why we have a phone going. All right. So anyways, we produce in Italy, and we have tight controls over our production process, and that is one of the reasons why we've maintained our production in Italy. Interesting enough, we have a solar-powered heating and air conditioning, and for our manufacturing processes in Italy. So this is something that's very interesting as far as our power use. We're off the grid. We also are very careful about the water-based products. 81% of our total production is water-based. And we are very careful about biodegradable ingredients, and the packaging is recyclable. So for your customers and all customers, knowing that we are working on sustainable production of chemicals. Often chemicals are not seen as being sustainable or as being environmentally friendly because they're chemicals. But Fila is very careful about this. This is part of our DNA. All right, let's get started. Outdoor tile surfaces. We're going to start about this, how to care for them from the beginning. It's very important that you do keep, you have good practices as far as your cleaning and care and maintenance for your outdoor products, because you have the elements that are involved. You have organic matter like leaves and all kinds of dirt, etc., that can build up. And if you're not regularly taking care of your surfaces will not take care of you. So the number one problem for all of the tile and all of the stone people that we deal with, we'll be dealing with both, but we're going to talk about tile specifically now, is grout haze. Grout haze is a major problem, and so this is something that we want to deal with first, because this is most likely the issue with most tile complaints are grout complaints. It's very seldom that there's a quality problem with tile, I will say that. So if you don't remove this residue, there are many problems that can arise. And you'll see this in this white shiny film. You'll see it in, I just had a customer today send me something that said, there are streaks, it's gritty, I can't seem to get, the tile clean. And this is generally a grout residue issue. So how do you deal with the grout haze? There's two ways to deal with it. You can, first of all, when you're doing your installation process, make sure that you're cleaning in such a way that you don't have a grout haze. That would be the smart way to do it. And we're going to talk about Fila's innovation with that. That's prevention is always most important. We'll also talk about what you do once you have the problem, because most likely if your customer is calling you, it's not because they're looking to prevent a problem, it's because they have a problem. And this keeps the issue from being a product related and being more of a cleanup related product, which is much easier to resolve because chemicals are cheap. Rip out of tile is expensive. Next slide. So first, I'm going to turn it over to Eliza to talk about what we call our Fila's grout haze preventers. So take it away, Eliza, please.
Okay, thank you for the attention. Yes, we call this new product Fila's grout haze preventer because, to be honest, this product has to be used before the setting of the grout. What does it mean? It means that based on the kind of grout that you are going to use, so based on the cementitious grout, or if you decide to use the resin or epoxy grout, you can choose a product that can help you to remove the grout before it's set. Those products are the instant grout remover and the epoxy and just a second. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we have those two products, which are instant remover, that is specific to remove the cementitious grout because it's set. And then we have the hybrid and epoxy pro, that is specific for the epoxy and the residues on the surface. Why this product, the instant remover in this case, is so special? Because you can use this product after how do you use it? You can apply the grout on the surface, as you can see in this picture. So you can grout the tiles. In this case, we have a really light in color tiles, where the tiler decide to use a black grout. I think that this is one of the worst nightmares of every tilers. Then, right after the grout starts to set and became firm, it removes the biggest residues with some water, just to be sure that the surface is quite clean, not so much, but it has to remove the biggest part of the residues, the stubborn ones. After some minutes, then you spray directly the product on the surface, the instant remover, and you leave it to act for 1-2 minutes. After that, with a clean sponge, you remove everything. What is so nice about this product? It is really nice because with this cleaner, you can grout, and in the same day, you can clean the surface. That means that you can prevent the formation of grout haze on the surface, and eventually, in the same week, you are able to proceed with more construction site cleaning. This video has been taken during the construction of our lab. This is the tiler that uses cementitious grout on the tiles. Those are Atlas Plan tiles. You use, in this case, charcoal gray grout. It is a cementitious. As you can see, some areas of the floor are more drier than the other ones. Then what we did? In this case, it just cleaned lightly the surface with a wet sponge. This is something that all the tilers did when they have to clean the surface. And then, after that operation, you simply spray the product directly on the surface. As you can see, this cleaner, even if it is acid, does not damage the finishing of the joints or the tile. As you can see, after the removal of the product with the damp sponge, the surface is perfectly clean. You cannot see any kind of haze. The joints are perfect. The tiles does not change the finishing. This is something that is really, really nice, especially when you have to work, for example, on the external tiles. Why? Because those kind of tiles are not so polished, are really hard to clean, especially when the grout has set and became cement, really hard to be removed. If you clean them before the grout, before the cement dry completely, you will be able to remove the residues easier, faster, and reducing all the subsequently work that you have to perform. Instant remover can be used really easily to clean even the tiles or the tools that you use to put the grout inside the joints. What does it mean? Sometimes you have to clean your tools, and with this cleaner, with instant remover, you are able to do it. As I told you before, instant remover that does not damage the joints, but neither metal trims or metallic elements that may be present in the behavior or in the environment. It is particularly indicated in case of external tiles, as I told you before, because they can be quite hard to clean, and it is perfect to prevent any kind of grout haze on the porcelain tiles, on glasses, ceramic, and so on. So I think that this product is really nice. Another thing that is really interesting is the fact that with instant remover, you can clean even the back of the tiles. That is really important especially when you have to install big format, because we have to be completely sure that the back of the tiles are completely clean. Otherwise, the glue may not work as it should be. And this could be dangerous, especially if you are working on big projects where a lot of people could work on the surface. But in the market, we do not have only the cement grout, we have even the hybrid and epoxy resins, epoxy grout. For those kind of products, we have a different cleaners, who is hybrid and epoxy pro. And this cleaner is not acid, as it is the instant remover. Hybrid and epoxy pro is an alkaline detergent. How does it work? As we are going to see in the video, first of all, we have to remove the fresh epoxy or premixed grout haze from the surface. This step is really important because you can remove the biggest part. For this, you have to use a wet sponge really easily. And it is something that most of the producers suggest in order to get rid of all these big residues. After those operations, you can simply spray the product on the surface. As you can see, the product is ready to be used, and it does not need bake it and so on. You can simply spray it on the surface, based on the floor, but even on walls. After that, with a wet sponge, you can remove really easily all the epoxy grout residues. At the end, you can rinse with some water, just to be 100% sure that all the residues from the epoxy or the hybrid hybrid grout that you have chosen has been completely removed. Why it is nice, this product? It is really nice because it is really nice because you can use this cleaner both on wall and on floors. On this particular kind of application, this product has been used to clean a swimming pool. We are in Spain. We are using black epoxy grout. I think that it is really something really hard to be removed on a mosaic. How do they use it? They clean the surface with some water, and then they just spray the product directly on the grout that is drying. With this simple operation, they were able to clean the swimming pool before the grouting starting to set, before the grout has the possibility to create residues on the tiles. This is really important because, especially in a swimming pool, it's quite hard to proceed the cleaning with a rotary machine or with abrasive tools. If you are able to clean the surface right after the installation and right after the grouting, I think that this could be a really good way to improve your works and the quality of the tiles that you are going to install. This product does not change the color of the grout. It is not dangerous for the joints, and it is perfect even if you have to clean aluminum or steel trims. It is not a product made with solvent, so you can use it even in closed environment, or if you need to be as green as possible for important project. I think that this could be really a good solution if you want to be fast and if you want to do a very good work. But sometimes it is not possible to remove the grout right after the grouting or right after the installation of the tiles. In that case, you have to clean the tiles and the surface after some days in order to remove completely any kind of grout haze or any kind of epoxy residues that they may be present on the surface. Based on the kind of residues that we have on the surface, we have to choose different products. Why? Because if we have to remove cementitious grout, we have to use detergent. If we have to remove remixed and epoxy red and hybrid grout, we have to use epoxy off. Why? Because those two products have a different pH. The pH is something that it is really important, especially when we are talking about detergent cleaners. Sorry, when we are talking about cleaners. Why? Because based on the kind of dirt that we have on the floor, we have to decide which detergent we have to use. If we have inorganic stains, inorganic dirt, we have to use acid cleaners. We can make an example. When we have limescale residues on the surface, we are going to use a cleaner that is acid. Otherwise, if we use something that is alkaline, we will not be able to remove it correctly. It is the same when we are working with cementitious grout. In that case, to remove cementitious grout haze, if we have to remove limescale residues, like when we are working near a swimming pool or near a garden where some limescale may be present, we have to use acid detergent like detergent. Otherwise, when we have to remove inorganic dirt, so oily films, tomato stains, or maybe even if you have to clean the box of your car, we have to use alkaline detergent, alkaline cleaners, like the epoxy that we have shown you before. Okay, how do we use the detergent? This product has to be used diluted in water. It is a product that is concentrated, so it is really important to put it in water before the use. This product is really helpful to remove both cementitious grout, but even if you have drywall dust or even rusty stains on the surface. Why? Because those kind of dirt are considered inorganic dirt. So it is perfect when, in order to remove them, you have to use an acid detergent like detergent. This product is not just an acid. It is an acid, but it is even a cleaner. This product, I think that it is one of the best seller products that we have in our product range because it works. In every kind of condition, it works. This product can be used for the post-installation cleaner when you have to remove grout haze, when you have limescale on the surface. It is a bacterial-based acid that does not produce dangerous gases for the operator, and that is really helpful because it is safe for the person that is going to use it, but it is even safe for the metal trims that will be present on the surface. That means that this product works really well, but in the same time, it is not dangerous or aggressive. The video that you are going to see in this moment shows the behavior of some aluminum put inside the metal and put inside an acid solution. What you can see is that if the metals you put in the solution made with detergent, and it is not damaged, it is not changing by the acid. Otherwise, if you put the same piece of metal in a solution of muriatic acid, you can change how the metals is going to be corroded by the acid solution. That is one of the main difference between our product and all the different acid products that you maybe find in the market. That is something that it is really, really important to remember. It is safe for the metals, it is safe for the environment, but it's safe even for operator. The product is really easy to be used. As I told you before, you have to dilute the product in water. You have to put 1 part of product in 5 parts of water. Then you have to spread the solution on the wall, on the floor, and with a floor cleaning machine, you have to rub the surface. The mechanical action is really important. Then with the water pack, you have to remove the superficial residues that may be present on the surface, and at the end, you have to rinse with plenty of water. So dilute it in water, spread the solution on the floor, let it sit for 1-2 minutes, rub the surface with a rotary machine or rub the surface with a brush, collect the residues and rinse with water. This product can be used on porcelain tiles, on ceramic tiles, on granite, for example, and on terracotta. So all that kind of materials that are resistant to acids. This is really, really important. Never apply Deterdeck or any kind of different acidic solution on marbles or encaustic tiles or a material that may be dangerous. The pictures that we are going to show you now are real pictures, so are all situations that we receive from our customer. And the first pictures show you terracotta floor tiles covered with cementitious grout haze. The other picture show you instead the surface after the cleaning with Deterdeck. As you can see, if you remove the grout haze with the right detergent, you will not damage the material, and at the same time, you will be able to restore completely the finishing with the tiles and everything, changing completely the look of the environment where the tiles are located in. This is the same. We have an external patio. In this case, we have porcelain tiles that are similar to the terracotta ones. And as you can imagine, in this case, the floor is completely covered with grout haze. With the use of Deterdeck, we were able to restore, even in this case, the material and the surface. If you think that if you do not remove the grout haze, the surface can absorb the dirt, the result that you can see in the after picture is really amazing, really beautiful. In this case, instead, we are based in Italy. And if I'm not mistaken, we are in Forte dei Marmi, and they did not perform the initial cleaning. As you can see, the floor seems old, seems dirt. It is not beautiful. What do? In this case, they decide to clean the surface with Deterdeck. As you can see, they use a rotary machine and they collect the residues. The floor before and after the cleaning seems something completely different. And this is the power of the product, because it is able to keep alive the product, to restore the finishing, to change the look of the environment where the tiles is installed.
Okay.
It's your turn.
Yeah, let's talk. You can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Good. All right. We'll continue. When we talk about post-construction clean, when we're talking about stone, we recommend our neutral cleaner. We call it stone clean, but also neutral all-surface cleaner. This is another product that is safe. That is really, it's your first product that you would use to try to clean up post-construction with stone, so you don't damage a acid-sensitive stone. Anyways, you do have, as we mentioned earlier, you do have drywall dust and paint residues that can be an issue with any installation. Next slide. Okay, there are times when you do have the epoxy grouts that you have to remove, and we recommend our epoxy off for those products. Just a quick mention of, we had a cruise ship where there was a residue in the pool, and this was an old residue, and the president of the pool of the cruise line was coming in the next day, and so they had the emergency to try to clean it up, and they used our Epoxy Pro our epoxy off in order to remove this residue. This is something that can be used outdoors all the time. It's really important to use an alkaline cleaner for those deep cleans on external surfaces, because we do get a lot of people that complain to our distributors and our sellers that, they get leaves and they get stains from leaves and they get various stains from outdoor elements. And the alkaline products, Epoxy Off and PS87, are really your go-to products for those type of situations. Again, just to reiterate what what Elisa explained is that you have this pH scale that tells you which products you should be using to clean the types of stains, inorganic and organic. Continue. The maintenance for porcelain tiles specifically, if you just put a capful per gallon or 1.5 teaspoons in a gallon of water, this is an excellent way to clean using floor cleaning machines. So if somebody's cleaning every day or if they're cleaning every week, this is an excellent maintenance cleaner. And you can see the maintenance cleaner, it works very well for the machines that you'll find that most people use in commercial applications. And the only thing that you have to watch out for is that this is a highly concentrated chemical, so that you don't need very much in order to make it happen. So just a capful per gallon. Okay. Also, just to mention briefly is most of the time when people are doing maintenance cleaning, they're using a mop. And if you don't have a 2-bucket system, what you're often doing is that you're using dirty water and you're just kind of moving dirty water around. So we recommend a 2-bucket system where you have the clean chemical and water in one side, and then you have the dirty mop. When you're straining your mop, the dirty water goes in another side. That way you're not mixing the two. Stain removal and getting rid of buildup stains. Again, this is an epoxy, or pardon me, this is a alkaline clean generally. So continue. These are the common organic matter that you find in the house. But as I mentioned before, you're going to find more leaves and things like that. This is kind of a before and after. We have several kind of humorous application situations where someone had a very dirty floor and they thought that the color was that dark color, and when they use PS87 they realize it's a light color actually, and it's a very dramatic effect.
Okay.
Another before and after that kind of gives you an idea of how that looks. Continue.
Okay. Would you like to go further, or do you want that I speak about the PS87? Can I go on?
Why don't we? Yeah, let's continue because we were kind of short on time. So let's go past this.
This is the okay.
Yes, this is the PS87 Pro. The video.
Yeah, let's go past. Yeah, let's go past. Well, the only thing I would mention here regarding PS87 is we do recommend these abrasive pads and using the mechanical action. Elisa mentioned that that's very important. Generally, people are using the middle one, the red one, but in some cases I've had to use even the black one for very intense stains that had to be removed. But generally, if it's a soft stone or it's a polished porcelain tile, we recommend the white, and green and red are kind of the intermediate ones. We also recommend a pressure washer, low pressure. This is very effective for doing your cleanup outdoors using PS87 or just doing the rinse water afterwards. Okay. Rust stains are a big thing outdoors, and Dieter Deck is very good at that. Now, of course, if you have a sensitive stone, no rust is the alternative. That will not harm a sensitive stone outdoors, because rust that is a buildup of any kind of water spout or water source outdoors, this is something that can happen quite frequently. A couple other just terracotta and some other type of showing this rust staining. Again, anywhere where you have a water source, Dieter Deck cleans this up really well. And no rust, as we mentioned, this is also something that can be safely used on stone. Okay.
We have the video for no rust.
Yeah, I would continue without that. Now we do have a product called No Spot, which is actually kind of like an instant. It will remove oil stains, and this can be something that can be used both on porcelain tiles but also on stone. So this is an important product that you spray on, and it literally lifts up. It's like an instant poultice. You get this white powder, and then you move that, and this can clean up those oil stains that you get that are tough to clean up on porcelain tile outdoors and also on stone.
Yes,
Just
it is
let
a
it, yeah, you just let it dry basically, and if you use a brush, it's very effective to remove that residue. And it may take a couple times to clean it up because if it's really gotten into the surface, but it's actually very effective. Degreasing is a large part of the whole outdoor kitchen type of situation, and our kitchen care foam is an excellent product to clean that up. And lastly, there are some products that there are some surfaces that are wood surfaces that are outdoors. And we do have a Wood Care Pro product that's a spray-on that's an excellent for external wood applications to clean those up. That is now part of our line. Fila is getting more involved in the laminates and in wood products, and this is part of that new initiative for Fila. Let me just finish this. Sorry about that, Elisa. I just was trying to
No problem.
through, but,
Take your time. It's fine.
let me just make a comment that there's a lot of situations that you will find yourself in, and we find ourselves in, where we don't really know what the stain is. We keep saying inorganic, organic, and there are times when nobody knows. Your customer is unwilling to say, or they just plain don't know. They don't know what kind of grout was used. They don't know anything. So what do you do in these situations? We call this a forensic clean, because it's what to do when you really don't know what the situation is, and to find out what it is. So if you don't have this information, the first thing that I recommend, that we recommend from our experience, is to use PS87. PS87 is a good way to remove any kind of organic dirt that is usually that residue that's on top. And if there is any kind of residue that is an organic residue, say food stains or just normal dirt, you need to remove that first. Even if you do have a grout haze underneath, you'll want to remove that organic stain first. Use PS87. And then we recommend after that to use Dieter Deck if you have a tile surface and you still have that grout haze. Most likely it's a cementitious inorganic grout haze, and you'll need to use Dieter Deck second. Okay, next slide. Now there are situations where neither PS87 nor Dieter Deck will really do the job, and that's an indication that somebody has used a sealer. And that may sound silly, but there's a lot of situations that I personally have been involved in where it is a porcelain tile cleanup and neither Dieter Deck nor PS87 work. And I find out from the installer that they used a sealer. They were trying to hide the problem or trying to basically mask the problem. And so that sealer was keeping the stain in such a way that you couldn't clean it. And so we used Pro Strip, which is our sealer stripper, and that actually removes both the sealer and the residue itself. So this is an important part of your toolkit to go out when you're doing problem solving, especially on porcelain tile. And this can happen indoors, outdoors. So I always recommend to the contractors that I speak with to have PS87 first, Dieter Deck second, and if for some reason that doesn't work, try Pro Strip, because most likely there is a sealer that's involved, and this will remove the problem. I will say that for probably 90% of the issues, this takes care of it. Elisa, let me turn it over to you for the grout proof.
Okay, perfect. When you have your tiles completely clean and you want to be sure that your joints, especially the cementitious ones, remain completely perfect, you can apply a sealer directly on the joints. Why it is so important? Because especially in those areas that are near the barbecue, something oily, grease can fall on the floor. If something like this fell on the tiles, you will be able to remove it. But if those oily substances fell on the floor, on the joints, that could be a problem. For those situations, we suggest the grout proof. This product is really easy to use. You have just to spray it directly on the joints, and then with the use of the brush, you can spread the product inside the cementitious or the epoxy joints. After that, you have to remove the residues. You have to wipe off the residue from the tiles in order to be sure that nothing remains on the porcelain tiles. That is really important because during this operation, you will be 100% sure that your tiles remain completely the same. After 24 hours, you will be able to put some water or some oil or whatever you want on the joints, and you will be sure that the joints will remain clean and completely dry. This is really helpful because if something fell on the joints, the removal of those staining agents may become really difficult. You can do it. In Fila, we have the products that are able to remove stains. But if you can prevent, then I think that this could be really helpful for you and for your customer. As you can see, this is the joints with and without protection. So I think that the Grout Proof, this water-based sealer, could be really helpful.
Okay, thank you. And let's talk in our final bit here. Let's talk about sealing stone. Stone is used a lot outdoors, and stone can be very problematic if it is not properly sealed. So let's talk a little bit about that. We recommend that you seal first before you grout, always, always, always. And we do have grout releases that you could use, but most of the time a contractor wants to just use the same sealer before grouting and then afterwards, once they've done the cleanup, so that it protected. And thankfully, PS87 Eco Plus is your go-to sealer in every single situation where you want a natural look protection. It is just easy to use. It is water-based, it has a lifetime performance warranty, and it will both repel water. It is a great stain and oil repellent. It's eco-friendly, it's impregnating, and it's also breathable. So the stone itself, if it has residual humidity or water inside of it that needs to be released, it will release even through the MP90 Eco Plus that has been applied to the stone. So the stone doesn't have to be entirely dry in order to be sealed. In a lot of cases, in the real world, the stone is not always fully dried. It's also great for large surface applications. Continue, please.
Okay.
Just go to the next slide. Yeah, you just go over the video. Let's talk a little bit about really the biggest issue with any kind of sealer is the residue. I would say the number one question I get about sealers is somebody calls me up and says, it's still tacky, it's still grainy, and that means that the sealer was over applied and it was not, the residue was not removed. So it's very important. Probably the only mistake you can really make when you are sealing a stone is that you do not remove the residue. So the proper application is a wipe on, wipe off. So you apply the sealer to the stone, make sure that it has been impregnated and it has really been absorbed, and then you rub off the residue. Now, if you do have a residue, if you do have this tacky, sticky surface and you need to deal with it, there are 3 ways to remove the sealer or to deal with the issue. Number 1, if it's fresh, if it's been like recently that you applied it and to have this residue, you can just rub the surface vigorously with a cloth, or if you have like a hand Makita grinder of some kind, you can also give it more force and really rub it out, and that will remove that residue. Another way is to use some of the sealer itself, reapply it with a cloth, re-emulsify the sealer, and then rub it vigorously to remove the residue. The third way to do it is using Pro Strip. Pro Strip, if you have a residue that's been on there for a period of time, more than a few days, then most likely you'll need to go to Pro Strip and you'll need to strip that sealer and then reapply the sealer and make sure you don't leave the residue. All right, so MP90 again is our high performance sealer, and this is what we recommend to be used. Now, we do have a question that comes up a lot, and I'm going to let Elisa go through this, and that is, when you're using a sealer outdoor, is it UV protected so it doesn't yellow with the sunlight? Go ahead, Elisa.
Yes, correct. In Fila, we can say that our products does not turn yellow if exposed to the sun or to the UV. This is something that is really, really important, especially if we are working outside in hot environment where the sun is always present. How can we be so sure about the fact that our sealers does not turn yellow if exposed to the UV? We have a climate chamber, as the one that we can see in the video, where we are used to located all the samples that have been treated with the products. 1 hour inside the room means 6 hours of sunlight. That means that if we leave the product for 1 month, we can say that we expose the product for years outside in the sun. What is visible in these samples is that the area that was untreated does not change the color. The area that was treated with Fila product does not change the color, but the area that was treated with something else that is not a Fila product turns yellow. This is something that happens quite often, especially outside, especially when you use products that are not so good for the natural stones. So be sure when you use our products outside. If you use the MP9 Eco Plus, if you use the Stone Plus Eco, you can be sure that your stone will remain as beautiful as the first day without you changing its color or without you have the problems that the sealers turn yellow. We can prove that point.
All right, thank you. And just we're just going to finish up here briefly. Stone Plus Eco we mentioned because this is used a lot outdoors by people who use pavers and various stones outdoors because they're looking to enhance them. And a big question is always, will this sealer specifically withstand the UV? And it does. It's a very reliable. I will say that over time, strong UV from the sun will break down everything. So you will have to monitor it and reapply, but you can be sure that it's not going to yellow it. So this is the message. Next slide. One other thing that I'll mention that comes up is, especially outdoors where you have hard water surfaces that are used to irrigate, say, the lawn or something like that, sometimes you'll get these efflorescences and salts and impurities will come from the water through the stone, and it will completely stain the stone through the entire stone. It'll look like a rust surface. We do have a treatment for that. It's called PW10. It is a back and side sealer. So you seal the back and the side so that the contaminants will not go through the stone and yellow it, but the water and the natural humidity of the stone will breathe and it will dry correctly. So this is a innovative product, and this is important for those situations where you have the suspicion that a nice marble or a limestone, usually a light color stone, is going to discolor because it has that hard water. In some of the coastal areas where you have brackish and different types of salt water, this is especially problematic. But this is a way to protect from that effect happening. And unfortunately, there's no way to really clean it once this effect has happened. So it's best to protect about it in advance, especially with delicate, nice stone surfaces. Next slide. Okay, just to finish up and just to say thank you to everybody and open up for any questions. I said that we were going to keep this within an hour, and I wanted to keep that promise to you because I do value your time and value you coming. So if anyone has any questions, let's open up for questions and we'll try to answer them. All right, very good. Well, listen, go ahead.
Jeff, all the questions.
We have questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Will this slide be available like if you can email it to us so that we can share it with other people in our company?
Yes, and we've done even further. We've recorded it.
Oh.
And I will say too that Grace can send you and send anybody that's interested. We do have resources, both NTCA recorded resources, our own recorded resources, and we can make these available and you can use them as you please, post them, use them internally. We'd be more than happy to make these resources available to you. Absolutely.
That would be great. Thank you.
You bet.
Jeff, we have another question from G. Bell.
Yes. You may have to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. A quick question on the cleaning. You said y'all got to send this to us. You have our emails. I'll look forward to getting it. And do you have a list of suppliers we can get this from?
Yes, we could help you with that. Actually, you can get that information right from our website. We do have a reseller. You put in your zip code and it'll tell you a reseller that's close by. Or if you just call our office and tell us where you're at, and we can tell you who you can get it from. So we'd be more than happy to help you with that.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
We've
there
got
another
another question from Melissa.
Melissa.
Actually, Paul.
Yeah.
All the water-based sealers are okay to use outside.
Yes, it is okay to be used outside, and in certain cases, it is the preferred way to go. But I mean, I will say, and this is a good question that comes up. People talk about the effectiveness of the water-based versus solvent-based. A lot of times, when you do have an outdoor application where you have heavy UV and you have a heavy-duty application, we do recommend that you use a solvent. Sometimes the solvent does perform longer. You do have to make sure that it's ventilated, but if it's outdoors, that's usually not a problem. But the water-based will work well too. It's easier to use. You just have to watch to see that you may have to apply it more often, because if the UV is really breaking it down, because you're in a southern state with a lot of sunlight and it's an outdoor paver, you may have to reapply it more often. But it can be used outdoors, yes, and a solvent may be a better solution in certain heavy-duty applications.
Another question from Tom.
So my question has to do with the epoxy grout haze remover, or the epoxy grout cleaner. Doing a lot of natural stone and using more and more epoxy grouts on natural stone, particularly light colored stones. And I'm wondering what effect this has, the cleaners and the haze removers have on natural stone.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the answer is, if it is a honed or a natural finish stone, it's fine. The only caution that we give you is an alkaline. These are strong alkalines. If it is a polished surface, it can dull the finish of a polished surface. So you have to be careful with a polished surface and using a strong alkaline, any alkaline, ours, anybody's. But if you have a natural finish, you can use this residue remover, PS87 or epoxy off. You can use it.
Great, thank you.
That's an excellent question. And I'll also mention that with PS87 and epoxy off, generally the rule is, especially with porcelain tile, the longer you leave it on the surface, the more it breaks down the epoxies and all this. And that may be important when you have an old residue. The longer you leave it on there, the better it works. Now, if you have a stone, you can't leave it on there as long, so you don't want to leave it on there more than, say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But if it's a porcelain tile, you can leave it on there longer.
Jeff, we have a question from Mark.
Sure. Go ahead, Mark.
Hi, Mark, you're muted. Mark Mulroney.
Unmute thyself.
He's got his hand raised, but we can't hear you, Mark. Okay, he's unraised his hand. Okay, maybe you answered his question with the other questions.
That's possible.
Okay.
I will say that Mark Mulleroni probably has forgotten more than most people know about these things. So he's a longtime industry person.
Okay. Those are the
Is any-
questions.
Anybody else? Let me just say too that if you have any questions, we regularly field questions from, here we go, for porcelain tiles with a grip or anti-slip finish, which holds onto dirt. How often should PS87 be used? That's an excellent question. Some porcelain tiles that have that real gritty type of anti-slip surface, they can really hold on to dirt. They can hold on to everything. So I'm a tile guy, and I've had some tiles that had almost a sandpaper-like grit to it, and that is something that can be tough. You really have to just judge. You can use PS87 every week, every day if you want. So the answer is you could use it as often as you feel necessary. But it's really the slip resistance of the tile that is determining that gripping the dirt, and you may be in a situation where you have to do it more often than you want. What I would suggest is that you do a regular maintenance cleaning with a neutral cleaner and see if that helps, so you don't have to do a deep clean as often. If you're doing regular maintenance cleaning with a neutral cleaner, you shouldn't have to do the PS87 deep clean that often on porcelain tile, frankly. So it's really when porcelain tile hasn't been cleaned for a while and you get a buildup of dirt and it creates a residue, that's when you use the PS87. But if you can use the neutral cleaner and use a capful per gallon, that 1 quart or that gallon will last you a long time, and you could be cleaning that regularly and avoid having to do the deep clean. So that would be the recommendation. Use the neutral cleaner as much as possible and have a regular routine. I mean, I know in some restaurants like McDonald's, they literally have to be doing these cleanings, these neutral cleanings 4 or 5 times a day just to keep that grease from building up. So do the maintenance cleaning. You'll save yourself a lot of time and headache.
We also have the question here in the chat, Jeff. Would the Wood Care Pro be safe for use in a sauna? If not, what would be best to remove extreme dirt on wood in this situation?
Yeah, it would be safe in a sauna. The thing is that if you get a real buildup of something on wood, you may have to talk to the wood manufacturer and see what they recommend for something that's really, if it's something that's getting nasty stains. Wood Care Pro is more of a maintenance product, so it's not something that you would want to use in some kind of emergency situation, but it is safe even in a humid situation like that and outdoors. So it's a good maintenance cleaner. It's a good cleaner that I would use first. And hopefully you haven't damaged the wood too badly. And usually the woods that they put in saunas is like the teak wood, and it's a very robust wood that can handle humidity and handle the elements. So Wood Care Pro would be a good way to go.
No more questions.
Everybody, this has been exactly 1 hour to the minute. So I congratulate all of you. I thank Elisa, I thank Grace, and everybody for coming. We appreciate you, and anything that we can answer, any questions we can answer, by all means, contact the office and get a hold of one of us, and we will give you the best shot we've got and try to keep you and your surfaces looking great.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks,
coming.
everybody.
Thank you.
All the best.